हर तरफ फिक्र को दौड़ा के थकाया हमने कोई दीन मुहम्मद सा ना पाया हमने.
In yet another incident of police brutality in the United States, the death of a 46-year-old African-American man named George Floyd has sparked an international uprising, with protests taking place all over the world, from North America to Asia and Europe. His Holiness Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, addressed the ongoing protests in a recent Friday sermon, advising Jamaat members protesting to do so peacefully, saying that may Allah protect every Ahmadi from the ill effects of the current restlessness. Behind this restlessness is a long and painful history of social and systemic racism towards the Black community. In recent years, increasing cases of police brutality against Black people has led to the creation of a movement using Black Lives Matter as its central slogan. Although this slogan and hashtag is very popular, alternative slogans recently advised by His Holiness are Innocent Lives Matter and Supremacy of Justice. His Holiness says that the term Innocent Lives Matter is inspired by the Quranic teaching that the murder of even one innocent person is the same as killing all of mankind, while the Supremacy of Justice slogan is inspired by the Quranic teaching that justice is paramount. The purpose of our special balance episode today is to explore how bias and racism towards the Black community shows up during social situations, what actions we can take to change for the better, and what mindset shifts must take place to guarantee long-term changes. Our sisters share how bias and racism reveals itself both from their personal experience and observations.
For the children, so many times they come home and pour out their hearts about their feeling. Friends have used N-words in songs while they are there. Teachers, so many racial comments that really the children, they react to and they feel offended by.
So whether we know it or not, or we realize it or not, we all have some sort of biases based on our upbringing, our past experiences, what we've gone through in life, what we've been taught knowingly and unknowingly, who's seen as good versus bad, what the ideal standards of beauty are. Some people, unfortunately, make assumptions and judgments on others solely based on what they look like or what they wear.
So from my early experience, I'll share an example from my son. He was 5 years old in kindergarten, and he came home one day saying, "Umi, no one wants to talk to me." And I didn't think much about it at the time, and he just said it matter-of-factly and went on to play. Then later, my husband and I attended the school's parent-teacher conference. And while there, I asked the teacher, where did my son sit? And he sat in a nice place up toward the front of the room. And then I asked the teacher, was there any problems occurring in the class, which she denied. And then I shared with the teacher the comment that my son made. And then she began to say, "Oh yes, we've had some little issues with racism in the class, where the kids didn't want to sit next to my son because he was African American. So the teacher had to begin to have conversations with the children about different cultures, different colors of people, different preferences in life.
We know it isn't enough to display slogans and post messages of support on social media. We must follow it with action. One challenge that non-Urdu speaking Ahmadis face is having difficulty in fully participating in Jamaat events. When there is a language barrier, this becomes even more difficult. In an effort to engage our Urdu-speaking audience in this dialogue, we asked Dr. Noreen Sohail to share in Urdu what is currently being done to bridge the gap.
हम साल के शुरू में रिफ्रेशर कोर्सेज करते हैं, तो हम अपनी तमाम नौ बयात की सेक्रेटरीज जो हैं उनको तैयार करते हैं और उनको ये बात समझाते हैं कि सिर्फ मीटिंग का इंग्लिश में होना ही काफ़ी नहीं है, बल्कि उसके बाद जो सोशलाइजेशन का टाइम होता है उसके अंदर भी आप कोशिश करें कि जो नौबया के आसपास लोग हैं और उनके आसपास जो गुफ्तगू हो रही है वो इंग्लिश में ही हो। अगर वो लजना मेंबर्स जो कि इंग्लिश में इतनी प्रोफिशिएंट नहीं हैं, घबरा रही हैं, तो नौबयात की सेक्रेटरी जो है वो ये काम अंजाम दे कि वो उनकी ट्रांसलेशन करके नौबयात को हर चीज़ समझाए। और वो जो सोशलाइजेशन में आप एक दूसरे के साथ बातचीत कर रहे होते हैं और गपशप के माहौल में हंस बोल रहे होते हैं, उसमें से किसी तौर भी नौबयात जो हैं वो पीछे ना रहें, उनको हर बात समझ आ रही हो।
Problem is that we take all these courses at work and at school, inclusion policy, inclusion training, diversity training, but we are not talking about it. This is the time to translate whatever we have learned into dialogue, into action. We must collectively tell the races that what they are doing is not acceptable. We must call them out and they have to be responsible for their actions. They have to take responsibility. My dear sisters, let us turn to the Holy Quran in whatever situation we find ourselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Holy Quran that He has created us from male and female. He has created us in different tribes, in different race, so that we might know ourselves. And this color, he said, does not matter. The good one among us is that one that is righteous.
First and foremost, we need to pray. And we need to teach our children to pray. Pray for those who are oppressed. Pray for the oppressors. We have to pray for reform and that Allah changes the hearts and the minds of the oppressors. Then we need to educate ourselves and our kids about the history of where we live. Teach them to love and embrace the differences among all people.
One, we need to talk with one another, and we need to have open conversations and feel comfortable discussing them and not feeling offended with a response that's not expected, because we're trying to get at the truth. And if our intention is to get at the truth, then we shouldn't be offended if we don't like what we hear.
Islam has no room for racism, so we need to ask if we are committed to giving up our bias, rejecting cultural trends that favor colorism, and change our own mindsets.
पहले हमें इस बात की ज़रूरत है कि हम अपनी सोच को बदलें। हमें ये समझना होगा कि इस्लाम तमाम आलम के लिए आया है, ना कि सिर्फ एक दुनिया के एक हिस्से के लिए। और इसी तरह हमें हर माशरे के लोग, हर ख़ित्ते के लोग, हर बैकग्राउंड, हर कल्चर के लोग जो हैं उनको एक्सेप्ट करना होगा। यहाँ मैं टॉलरेंस या बर्दाश्त का लफ्ज़ इस्तेमाल नहीं करूँगी, बल्कि एक्सेप्टेंस या अपनाने का लफ्ज़ इस्तेमाल करूँगी। इसका मकसद ये है कि जब आप किसी भी किस्म का लिबास, किसी भी बैकग्राउंड और कल्चर का लिबास जो कि इस्लामी तकाज़े पूरे करता हो, जब आप किसी को उस लिबास में देखें तो आप उसको एक्सेप्ट करें। सिर्फ शलवार, कमीज़ और दुपट्टे में ही पर्दा नहीं होता, बल्कि पर्दा हर उस लिबास से हो जाता है जो कि मॉडेस्टली कवर्ड है। इसी तरह हर एक वेरिएशन खाने की, वेरिएशन लैंग्वेज की, उठने बैठने की, अतवार की, ये सारी वेरिएशंस जो हैं ये धनक के रंगों की तरह हैं और हमें उनको कौसे कज़ा के रंगों की तरह एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए। और इसी तरह एक प्यारा इस्लामी माशरा जो है वो तैयार होगा। एक इस्लामी माशरे में सिर्फ तकवा की बुनियाद पर फ़ौक़ियत होती है। रंग, नस्ल, ज़बान सिर्फ शनाख्त के लिए होते हैं। एक दफ़ा हमने ये सोच अपना ली तो हम मोहब्बत सबके लिए, नफ़रत किसी से नहीं का असल मफ़हूम पहचान जाएंगे।
Reform starts with the self. And then as you begin to improve the self, you're able to demonstrate it in behaviors. And those behaviors become a mirror for other people and a standard. And hopefully it's an attractive standard to others that they want to begin to emulate themselves.
As a Black Ahmadiyya Muslim woman, I have gone to so many programs, countless programs, and when I meet new people, the discussion or the question that is thrown to me left, right, and center, where are you from? Are you a convert? Are you a born Ahmadi? Is your father a missionary? Why do we focus on the differences? Why don't we look into the strength of our differences? As Ahmadiyya Muslim women, we should not be surprised that there are people of so many colors in the Jamaat. That is the job. That was what our promised Messiah والسلام, was sent to do.
We have to remind ourselves to differentiate between religion and between culture and try to follow our Islamic teachings over our cultural practices.
Ahmadis must recognize that to achieve true success, we must follow principles of Islamic teachings and not the latest political trends. In accordance with Islam, our campaigns and efforts must focus on ensuring that the Black community and other minorities fully participate in all democratic processes so that real change can occur.
हर तरफ फिक्र को दौड़ा के थकाया हमने कोई दीन मुहम्मद सा ना पाया